Oh my god, hey! Welcome back to my stagey YouTube channel. If you're seeing my face for the first time, my name is Mickey Joe and I am obsessed with all things theatre. And this is my stagey YouTube channel where I talk about shows that I've seen and I post my reviews and I take you with me to go and see shows, or I just speculate wildly on gossip and rumours about stuff that's happening on Broadway and in the West End. It's just a stagey vibe. So if this is your first time visiting and that sounds like something you would be into, make sure to subscribe to my channel and let your stagey friends know about me as well. So this weekend, I got to go to West End Live. Now, if you're not from London or if you don't know much about this event, this is something that happens annually in the West End, and it's where almost all of the shows performing in London all get little slots to perform together on a big stage that is put up in Trafalgar Square, and you can go along for free and watch West End shows performing all weekend. It takes place over 2 days, and it's organised by the Society of London Theatre and the City of Westminster, as well as various other partners and producers. This year, I was very kindly given press access to go along to the event, which also meant I didn't have to queue from 4 o'clock in the morning. Shout out to everyone who did queue from crazy hours of the morning on the weekend of a train strike as well. That is theatrical commitment. I applaud you while I was still in bed. Although also left my house and made it back on 3 buses because of a train strike, so I am also committed to the theatricality. Let us not get it twisted. But I was there on my feet for both days. For the whole time, I saw all of the performing shows, and what I thought I would give you now, as well as giving you a little bit of a preview of some of the stuff that I managed to film from the crowd, is I thought I would quickfire review literally all of the shows that performed. Literally all of them. I'm going to give you my quickfire feelings on all of them, because there were over 50 shows represented. Now, these were musicals performing in the West End, as well as some off-West End shows, some touring shows, some regional stuff, some groups and individuals. I'm not going to have that much time to go into detail, otherwise we're going to be here for hours together, but I'm going to let you know basically what I thought, how it compared to previous West End Live performances I've seen from the same shows, whether I thought they made the right song choices, whether I thought they really sold their show very well, because that's a lot of what this event is. It's a celebration of the shows, but it's also a great marketing opportunity for them to try and sell tickets.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. To kick off the weekend, an incredible medley from Disney.
So we started on Saturday with a nice little Disney trio. It's become a tradition in recent years to open with The Lion King with Circle of Life. Great choice because we're all half asleep and it wakes us up. Loved that the performer playing Rafiki was a swing. Shout out to her. Clever of Disney as well to give everyone in the crowd flags while they were in the queue so that everyone waves them while those shows are performing. It looks great in the videos afterwards. Next up was Frozen. Samantha Barks and Steph McKeon did I Can't Lose You. Not my favourite song in Frozen. I've already talked about this in my Frozen video, and I feel like everyone was expecting a big song they could sing along with from the film. Those are always the shows and the performances that do best at West End Live, is when you give the crowd something they can sing along with, and you have a whole crowd of teen theatre fans, so they will sing along with anything that they know. I Can't Lose You was not the biggest crowd pleaser. Next, we had Courtney Stapleton and Shaq Taylor living their best lives, giving us the credits version, Celine Dion, Peebo Bryson, Realness, Beauty and the Beast. They don't sing this in the show as far as I'm aware, but I love every chance they get to do it out of context because they just sound fantastic. It reminds me how great their voices are together and how attractive they both are. Loved that for them, loved it for me. And then all the Disney shows came together, gave us a nice little finale version of Let It Go. A great way of marketing Disney's huge presence in the West End right now. Disney did a great job, which, you know, is not a huge surprise. If anyone's going to get the marketing advertisement right for their shows, it's gonna be Disney. Next up, we had Moulin Rouge. Everyone was very excited to see Moulin Rouge, their first year performing at West End Live, and not the easiest show to get tickets to for their young fans because they're expensive. I was kind of disappointed by this, if only because you have Olivier Award-winning costumes that they didn't wear for their performance. You know, they had Jamie and Lucie as Christian and Satine, and you had the other 4 performers who are the Moulin Rougettes. I know they've got a name and that's not it. Someone will tell me in the comments section. They did their Lady Marmalade number, which, you know, is always fun when that bass line comes in. everyone's ready to have a great gay old time in the crowd, and I mean gay with a capital G. I bought that song on cassette tape when I was like 7. That tells you everything you need to know about me as a child. And they all looked really cute in their outfits they brought from home, but like, why not wear the costumes? Why not give us that? Admittedly, yes, they had to close down both of their performances for that day due to a COVID case within the cast, but like, someone will have had keys to the Piccadilly Theatre, surely. Someone can break in through an open window and grab a couple corsets. How hard is that? Next up, we had Legally Blonde. Legally Blonde made a great choice to do Oh My God, You Guys, not only because we got to have Ali Daniel and Billy Luke Nevers giving you their iconic ensemble track moments.
Oh my God, Elwood, sorry, a mistake. Courtney, take a break. Just ignore her, she hasn't been well.
It also meant they got to feature Liam as Bruiser, as played by a human, and I feel like not everyone in the crowd knew about this production of Legally Blonde and necessarily knew that that was a feature, so there was a little bit of surprise there.
She's trapped in the Old Valley Mill!
You know, it's a polarizing concept. Bend and Snap I was less convinced by as a great song choice, but it grew on me as they did it, and it was probably one of the easier numbers to transport to a Trafalgar Square stage rather than having all the split levels that they have on their own set at Regent's Park. And it's like a hypey, upbeat song, which is also what you want for West End Live. You don't want to give us a downer, especially that early in the morning. Next up was Wicked. Now, Wicked do what they do at West End Live. Everyone's excited to see them. Everyone's excited to sing along. What's interesting is it super seemed like Lucie Jones wasn't vibing with giving you a full Elphaba Defying Gravity. She was giving you more like actress who has played Elphaba singing Defying Gravity out of context at a concert that she does after her run in Wicked. Because she was a lot more like, you know the words, sing with me, rather than being like, free the monkeys. So that was interesting to see, but also Lucie is such a pro in a concert setting and in a West End Live setting. She's done it before. Grease followed Wicked. Now, I was not super interested in seeing Grease before. After that performance, I am really interested in seeing Grease. The way they attacked that choreography, the energy and the strength of that ensemble was just really exciting to me. And also, there is nothing more attractive than men dancing well. Apologies, Aaron, if you're watching this video. He'd agree with me. But if there's literally one show that convinced me to buy a ticket that I otherwise wouldn't have done on the strength of their West End Live performance, it is Grease. That was my big surprise of the day. Next was the Book of Mormon. Now, the Book of Mormon hasn't done West End Live for that many years, considering they've been in the West End for a decade. I think they made their West End Live debut literally last year. Back in the day, it used to be cooler for them to be sort of aloof and for audiences to know less about the show without buying a ticket to go and see it. But it's nice that they're now participating in West End Live and that most of the shows in the West End are. They did Baptize Me last year, which I always felt like was an interesting choice because at the time there was a lot of dialogue about whether Book of Mormon was the best show to represent diversity in the way that it does with the portrayals that it makes of African characters, given the conversation that was happening about diversity on stage and Black Lives Matter and all of these things. I feel like they chose Baptize Me because it's one of the few songs that platforms black performers in a non-mocking way. This year they did You and Me, but Mostly Me, which is a lot more obvious as a song to promote the show. It was a great choice because you had the whole crowd singing along. It's the song that the teenagers wanted to hear from the Book of Mormon, and Dom and Tom did a great job performing it.
Things are different now, you know? We are men now. This is our time to prove that we are worthy. Worthy of what? Of everything we've been promised in the afterlife.
Next was And Juliet. They did a few numbers, slightly different set to what they've done previously at West End Live. And it's nice when they mix it up because a lot of people go to West End Live every single year, so we don't want to see exactly the same thing. I liked that some of the principal cast members were getting involved even without having like sung solo lines in their numbers. Shout out to Reese Wilkinson, who is performing the role of Romeo as a second cover, having only been told that morning. Because so many performers have said that West End Live is thrilling to do, but also legitimately terrifying. Next was the Phantom of the Opera, and if we want to talk about covers, after Lucie and Reese did their usual All I Ask of You loveliness that was exactly the same as it was last year, and still very nice, they gave us 3 of their Phantom covers, singing a trio version of Music of the Night, which was just lovely. Very interesting when a lot of shows don't hire enough understudies, or more than one for each role, and then end up having to throw on emergency covers, that Phantom of the Opera has 3 covers in the building for their titular role. Sensible decision making. Next was Bonnie and Clyde. More covers happening here. So Charlie was playing Buck. I feel like that was pre-planned, but Lauren singing Diane Ain't So Bad as Bonnie, she had only found out at 10 o'clock that morning, and by this point I don't even think it was midday yet. Like, she'd known for a couple of hours that she would be doing West End Live. I love the fact that they did When I Drive. Again, nice to feature one of the upbeat songs from the show that has admittedly a lot of downers. A great score, but downers nonetheless. I like that Jordan and Charlie literally just fell down at the end of the number. I'm hoping that was planned and rehearsed. Next was Cabaret. So exciting to see Cabaret there, because they so easily could have been like, no, we are mysterious and expensive and you can't have us at West End Live. Fantastic that they performed, even more fantastic that they sent one of their amazing understudies, Emily Benjamin, who covers, I believe, 7 tracks within Cabaret, which is insanity, by the way, including 2 of the principals, including Sally Bowles, and she performed Cabaret, and did it very differently. Her interpretation has a lot of differences from both Jessie Buckley and Amy Lennox, and she gave you full out, as if you were in the theatre, intensity, theatricality, acting.
What good is sitting alone in your room?
Maybe the strongest performance of the entire day for me, for individuals, was Emily Benjamin performing for Cabaret. I was just awestruck. Next was Only Fools and Horses the musical. Now, they gave you 2 of the numbers that they've done before at West End Live, Ashley Gray performing Did You Hear About the Girl, and the full company giving you the Why Do Only Fools and Horses Work? But they also featured the song with Oscar Conlon Murray, which I feel like was a way of them shouting out Oscar as a long-term performer in this show who has a beloved following, and so I'm really glad he got to have that moment on the West End Live stage. I also didn't know he got such a great number in the show, and it made me be like, oh, do I need to go and see Only Fools and Horses?
So, what you're looking for is a bit of a sword. Yeah! The sword of sword to guide your ship back into port. If you want. And make you smile, and make you dance, and make you sing.
I also love that every show has its stands. Like, it's obvious that there are Heathers fans and Six fans, but there were some teenagers near me singing along to every word of the Only Fools and Horses songs. I was like, good for you loving this show. Good for this show having its fans. I love to see that. I just love to see theatre enthusiasm wherever it is. Next was Dear Evan Hansen. Sensible of them to do Sincerely Me, because the teenagers love nothing more than to sing along with 3 boys writing fake notes from a suicidal teen to others that he didn't know. They love that song, even though it's weird as hell.
My sister's hot. What the hell?
Hi, Dad.
Dear Evan Hansen, thanks for every note you send. Connor Murphy, I'm just glad to be your friend.
Then they gave us You Will Be Found, because of course they did. They love to do that one. And I'm getting a little bit fatigued of them performing that in public. What I did like, and what did get me emotional, was they had this screen behind them with scrolling dates and memories from the course of their West End run that then alluded to the fact that they will be closing later this year. That was really nice. What was less nice is this is apparently the first year that they haven't featured the full company or something like that. One of the understudies in Dear Evan Hansen mentioned on Twitter that he was disappointed not to have been included in that West End Live performance, that they were only using the principal cast members, given that the show was going to be closing. It kind of undermined the community vibe that they were going for. Then we had Tina, the Tina Turner musical, which featured the new Tina Turner performer who is sharing the role with Aisha Jawando. She was fantastic. I was disappointed they only did the one song. I love Tina. I always see these Tina performances and I'm like, yes, I need to go see Tina, and then I never do. Someone make me book tickets to Tina. If I come on here in another video and tell you I still haven't seen Tina, then like cancel me, because I desperately need to see Tina. Someone make me see Tina. Then we had Jersey Boys. Now, to make up for the fact that Tina only did one song, Jersey Boys did literally all of their songs, which they always do at West End Live. Like, this comes as a surprise to no one, and it plays very well because all of the songs are well known and they have this routine very well rehearsed, and it's all very tight. I wouldn't be surprised if they rehearsed their West End Live set quite rigorously to get a very tight end product. That sounded more sexual than it was meant to. But they gave you a really great set, and having seen the show after seeing them perform at West End Live so many times, I'm actually disappointed in the real show that they don't wear the red jackets for as long, because my favourite things about their West End Live sets are always the red jackets and this move that they do. It's hard to do the fingers forwards while going side to side at the same time. It's something like, who loves New Jersey boys? How do they do this with their hands? Try it at home. Very challenging. Next was the Drifter's Girl. Now, the boys performed a couple numbers, and then Bev did her big number that she's been doing everywhere at the Olivier's and such. What was funny was she was standing at the back and the side of the stage while they were performing and kind of like doing with her hands like their choreography and kind of like conducting them. I legitimately have no idea if this was her like acting and playing the manager role that she plays in the show, or if this was just legitimately how Beverly Knight is, because from everything I've heard about what a fabulous performer and a little bit of a diva she might be, that would totally line up. Then you had Mamma Mia. They gave you some of the songs that they usually do in a slightly different order. I was disappointed not to get Maz giving us The Winner Takes It All. She did that last year, but the other songs that they did were still lots of fun. They always do a great job of bringing out the whole ensemble, giving you energy, giving you enthusiasm, and I feel like they always sell a bunch of tickets on the back of West End Live because it is a very confident performance. Everyone's in the crowd like, you know what, I do love ABBA, and that's the correct takeaway. Next we had Levoir. Now Levoir was the first performance that wasn't like a big West End show. What happens at this point in the afternoon is everyone has to go and do their matinees, so you see some slightly smaller and non-West End acts performing. Levoir is a drag queen who is promoting her show coming up at the Lyric Theatre later this year. She did a nice fun audience participation moment with Total Eclipse of the Heart. She had us singing, she had us turning around. At this point I already couldn't feel my legs, so that was optimistic, but it seemed to work.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go! Turn around.
Stop the music.
Turn around. Every now and then, turn back, little bit lonely, and you're never coming round. Go! Turn around!
Next was Bugsy Malone. There was some real enthusiasm around me for Bugsy Malone. Some people were really excited to see them. I don't know much about Bugsy Malone as a show, but I'm really excited to see it this year. I haven't seen this production before, but I will say that the kids performing in it were really talented. Like, I was really impressed. So I'm really excited to hopefully go and see this at some point on its tour this year. They sold it to me.
Everybody loves that man, Bugsy Malone.
Then we had Magic Mike Live. Magic Mike Live is definitely a big staple of West End Live. What I will say, not that I follow a bunch of the performers on Instagram or anything, but they featured a bunch of the guys who have recently left the show. I feel like just so they could have like 30 men on stage at the same time. If you go see it in person, you're not getting that many Magic Michaels, just to let you know. But they did a great job. A lot of people question the inclusion of Magic Mike Live at an event that has a crowd of predominantly younger theatre fans. And what I like is that they feature the contemporary dance and the acrobatics more so than any of the more suggestive content of the show. I feel like Magic Mike Live is to dance what the Choir of Man is to music. And the Choir of Man is what came next. This was, I'm pretty sure, a very new cast of the show who have only recently been in rehearsals. I might be wrong about that, but it's not the cast who have been touring recently. I think this is the cast who are about to go to Korea, I believe. It was nice to see Lem Knights, who was recently in But I'm a Cheerleader and What's New Pussycat. Was nice to see him involved there. There were some really great voices. I like the whole Choir of Man vibe. It's always just uplifting. It's nice to hear great music. It has a really broad audience appeal. If you haven't seen this show already, go and see it when it returns to the Arts Theatre later this year. You'll have yourself a grand old time. It's just really crowd pleasing.
Most clubs have a football team, a dance team, an intimidatingly vast array of weird things to deal with. This club has a choir, always has, and we are the current class. We are the Choir of Man!
Then at the end of their set was this really exciting surprise. So I saw them at the Edinburgh Fringe the same year I saw Six for the first time, and I know they have some producers in common. They started covering Heart of Stone in a nice harmony version that was nice enough, and then at the first chorus they were like, ladies and gentlemen, the cast of Six. I don't know why I'm telling you this when I could just show you. So that was really nice that the Choir of Man and Six gave us that collaborative moment, because it's fun to have a surprise at West End Live. You know, people have travelled a long way, people have queued for a long time. Give us something, give us that little surprise moment. See if you can win West End Live with the biggest excitement of the weekend. Why not? Absolutely. Great idea from the producers there. Then Six gave us a whole set. It was nice that Rachel Rawlinson, who is one of the super swings in the show who can cover all 6 parts, let that sink in. Was really nice that she got to perform No Way as Catherine of Aragon. Was kind of strange that she did it, given that Paisley, who is the alternate Catherine of Aragon, was there, but was there as Cleves. What I thought was, it's nice that Rachel got a chance to perform, given that she had been the designated standby for the Hampton Court Palace concerts that had happened last weekend that she didn't get to go on and perform for because all of the original queens didn't need to call out of any of the shows. Then we had Roles Will Never Play. I love seeing Roles Will Never Play at West End Live. I've never made it to one of their full shows before, but I know I would love it because I love nothing more than a vocal option, and Roles Will Never Play is great for coming onto a West End Live stage and giving you insane vocal choices. Loved Lauren, loved Tom, loved Luke, loved Kayla, loved all of them. I can't even name them all. There were so many amazing performances. Loved the performance of Who I'd Be. Insane vocals, a great moment of the day. Like, who doesn't love that? That's always going to go down well at West End Live. Then we had the Barricade Boys. I enjoy the Barricade Boys, and you know who will enjoy the Barricade Boys much more than me is my grandmother. She lives for this type of thing. Very Calabro-esque. Lovely guys with amazing voices. I feel like I haven't ever gotten the chance to hear Kieran Brown really sing. He's got an amazing voice. I mean, so does Scott, so do all of them. Again, one of their performers was filling in on very last minute notice. Props to them for doing that so that the show could go on. What I did find maybe a little bit puzzling is that they are the Barricade Boys and they didn't sing any Les Mis or even anything Les Mis adjacent, like not even a Bublil and Schonberg anything, no Phantom, nothing of the 80s mega musical genre. They gave you Bohemian Rhapsody and West Side Story, and it's not completely off-brand, but it's just not what you're necessarily expecting from the Barricade Boys when they're selling themselves with a couple of songs. Then we had South Pacific, who did way more songs than I was expecting them to, but it was fun. It was nice to see some more of that show. It was nice to see a more classic musical represented alongside all of the contemporary ones. Gina Beck did a lovely job, Rob Houchen did a lovely job, John Owen Peel did a lovely job. It was sad not to see Julian Ovenden there because, for what it's worth, I think his performances in this show are the highlights of this production. But again, just nice to see them included in this lineup. Then we had Unfortunate, the untold story of Ursula the Sea Witch. I was really disappointed by this, and I'm a big proponent of this show. I've seen it before. I've reacted to their little EP cast recording that they put out on this channel years ago when I was a much smaller YouTuber. Not only did they really choose the wrong songs and struggle to give you clarity and diction with the lyrics, whether that was because of the admittedly questionable sound design of West End Live or down to the performers themselves, I do not know. But the lyrics to this show are so sharp and so witty, you really have to get them out to connect with an audience for them to get what the vibe is. Otherwise, you're just hearing the music that isn't enough to sell it by itself. And also the costuming. They didn't have their costumes for the Saturday performance, which I thought was a really strange choice. They basically looked like they were there for a sound check warm-up rather than their actual performance.
It's been over 20 years since I first walked into the city. Even then, it was all boys are strong, girls are sweet and pretty. Tell me, Daddy, does it shock you now that you just asked me that? You gotta hatch yourself an angel fist, but raised yourself a brat.
Then we had Jean-Paul Gaultier Freak Show. When I got the press release about this a few weeks ago, I didn't understand what it was, and I still don't understand what it is, having seen it performed. There was a very sexually aggressive bear in a Madonna cone bra, and there was catwalk elements, and there was some acrobatics. I think it was very performance art-esque, and more than slightly intimidating. Next we had Identical. This is a new musical. They haven't even started performances yet, which is always a very big risk then debuting at West End Live and showing your product before it's really been finessed in front of an audience. And not only that, it was down to their young performers to sing the song. If you don't know what this show is, it's based on the book, The Parent Trap, not on the film, because I'm guessing they don't have the rights, which is why it can't be called The Parent Trap the Musical. But it's about identical twins, and they had two sets of identical twins performing. The song they did was very nice and very sweet, and was a bit of an earworm at that point because it had been playing on trailers throughout the day. A clever choice by the producers. And if their performance wasn't enough to convince you they were adorable and you needed to buy tickets, the interview they gave afterwards definitely was.
I like performing with my sister because it makes me feel more comfortable and always feel safe when I'm with her.
That's amazing. Isn't that amazing?
Next we had Lady M. I don't know much about this show other than the fact that they had a workshop of it last year with Carrie Ellis. I was intrigued by the material, and unfortunately I have to say I really did not like what I heard. I thought the lyrics were incredibly generic. I didn't know who the performer was other than the fact it wasn't Carrie Ellis. It later emerged it was one of the writers. Admittedly, you want to get your work out at West End Live. That's a really exciting opportunity for a new show. You need to do it in a good way. If you don't have a strong vocalist performer to launch this show, don't bother. Wait until you do. I think that was a really poor decision on their part. They said they were working with a producer who had worked with Coldplay to help them find their sound. And without being too harsh, I just feel like if you're new musical theatre composers and you haven't found your own sound, then I'm not sure what you're doing. What you really mean is that you have a sound, but you're working with a producer to make your sound more commercial. And then I realised, having thought about that, what they're actually trying to do is chase the success that Six and Hamilton have by giving you a historical storyline with Macbeth. Can I say Macbeth on YouTube? I'll be fine. But giving you a contemporary pop twist because they think that that's the answer to financial success in musical theatre right now. And it's not. It's not that that's the winning formula just because Six and Hamilton have done it well. Finally, we finished out day one with Come From Away. They had come literally just from their matinee performance. They were just about made it onto the stage, and one of their cast members made a lovely speech crediting the show's standby performers, crediting all of the offstage swings who have to learn up to 5 roles each.
But we are not a team of 12 actors. We are a team of 20 actors, and we would like to take this moment to thank and celebrate our wonderful super standbys here at Come From Away.
And then to show us just how talented they are, one of the standbys, Jennifer Tierney, came on and performed Me in the Sky. Always lovely to hear Me in the Sky performed out of context, simply because there's so many great audience participation moments. You can do the little sassy double claps. And also it's nice to be able to applaud that song, because in the show, you don't actually get the chance to clap because she answers a phone and it runs straight into the next scene. And everyone's like, I didn't get to clap, the best song in the show. Then they did Welcome to the Rock, which was also really fun because they featured more of their standby performers. And also, who knew there was so many audience participation sing-along moments in Welcome to the Rock? Woo woo! So that was day one. On to day two. We started with Heather's. They gave you Candy Store and I Say No. Always a fun vibe. People were very excited to see Heather's there. It was nice to see some of the performers that I haven't seen before, some of them because they're new to the show, some of them I just haven't had a chance to get to see yet. Props to Simon Gordon for turning up to be props on the day of his last JD performances. Also made me think Elsa's voice is very Alphabet-esque, and I'm ready to see her in that role one day. Next, we had Fantastically Great Women Who Changed the World. Now, last year, I was not sold on their performance. And again, it was another one where they were very early in rehearsals and they hadn't really publicly performed yet. And this was an emerging show, kind of dipping its feet into the waters of West End Live. This year, they are returning, having toured, having now set down for a little period in Theatre Royal Stratford East, about to go to the Edinburgh Fringe, and my gosh, are they returning triumphant. They're having the exact same arc that Six have done. If you remember that first Six at West End Live performance without the costumes, where no one kind of understood what it was meant to be and it didn't go down all that well, cut to the next year, Six coming back as like reigning queens of the West End. Fantastically Great Women did exactly that. They gave you 2 of the catchiest songs from the show, my favourite being Deeds Not Words. Kirsty Skivington gave a beautiful, passionate speech before this, reminding you how timely and how important this show is. Next was Hamilton, another one like Book of Mormon, didn't always perform in West End Live. I'm so glad that they do, because it's such a crowd pleaser, and it's another one that is not the easiest to get tickets to, so it's great for their young fans that they can connect with them in this way and give them this performance to see for free. Featuring a bunch of the new cast members, they did Alexander Hamilton, they did the Schuyler Sisters, all songs that all of the teenage theatre fans there are going to sing along with. Great choices. I also loved that they all had cohesive matching outfits with matching boots. I want some Hamilton boots. Not you, motorcycle. You can't have boots. Then we had Mary Poppins. I have recently become a massive Mary Poppins stan, which makes my boyfriend very happy. I was fully expecting them to just do Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious like they did last year, but they surprised me by bringing out the ensemble before a little bit of a chim-chimney introduction. Chim-chimery? Chim-chimney? It doesn't matter. And then giving you Practically Perfect in Every Way, which I was thrilled about because I've become obsessed with Zizi Strallen and the fact that she mixes all of her Mary Poppins soprano notes, even though she has no need to whatsoever. Like, the woman has zero chill. Every other Mary Poppins just gives you a glorious soprano and she's like, I can half belt this, so I will. Then you had Les Mis that gave you a standard Les Mis set, they gave you On My Own, they gave you Bring Him Home, they gave you One Day More. I love that they bring on the whole ensemble, I love that they wave the flag, they take West End Live very seriously, and people were still crying. But I guess that music is just so affecting that it still gets people. Even to just hear that introduction, I liked that they went straight in from the end of Bring Him Home into the da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. That's quite magical. I'd have cried too, but I'm dead inside. Then we had Get Up, Stand Up, the Bob Marley musical. I've never been wholeheartedly convinced on this just because reggae is so not aligned with my interests musically. So whenever they do perform, I'm like, this has an interesting energy and a pulse to it. It's just not something that is really speaking to me on any kind of level. I don't know the name of the song that they performed at this one, but it's different to the performances they've given in the past. And it didn't really wow me. I was less impressed with this than what I'd seen of them previously. So this did not convince me to buy a ticket in any kind of a way. After them was Back to the Future. They made some great choices in the songs that they performed. They gave you the more well-known songs from the show, as well as Cedric Neal giving you Gotta Start Somewhere. You gotta start somewhere. Will Haswell was performing at Marty McFly, more understudy representation, which we love to see. They didn't have Roger Bart there as Doc Brown. Some people were disappointed by this. I feel like they're saving a little bit of the intrigue and the mystery for the theatre. You have to go to the Adelphi to see Roger Bart, and that's just how it is. Following them was Matilda, controversially not giving you Naughty as they usually do, but giving you Telly instead. A lot of people thought this was a weird choice. I've had Instagram messages being like, what do you think about the fact they performed this instead of Naughty? If you want to see them perform Naughty, you can watch all of their previous West End Live clips. I love that they mixed it up, I love that they went with something different, and it was fun because he got to banter with the crowd, he got to do a little bit of a dialogue-y introduction.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention please? Can I just ask, how many people here have ever read a book? Oh my word, this worse than I thought.
And then do the number, and I enjoyed screaming the word Telly. Then we had Pretty Woman, another one that did more at West End Live this year than they would usually do. Normally they just send out Amy Atkinson to do I Can't Go Back. This year they gave you a full company number with some of the other featured cast members, and then they gave you understudy first cover Vivian Ward to go out and do I Can't Go Back with the ensemble all around her. It was a much more confident way of selling the show, of making it look like this big exciting product that you want to go and see. Sometimes just by putting a lot of stylish looking things on a West End Live set, it gives you that sense of status and it makes you want to book that show. Then we had the Choir of Man into 6. Again, the Choir of Man's sound was better on day 2. I will say that, but the performance was otherwise the same. 6 this time had Roxanne singing the Jane Seymour part of Heart of Stone. Was lovely to see her. Love that 6 will just put any of their alternates and standbys and swings on for West End Live and say, that's still our 6, we stand by this lineup. Love them for that. Then we had Dion doing Get Down. I love Dion as Cleves. I've spoken about this in a previous video. I think she's just fantastic, so I was so thrilled to get to see her do this again. But they didn't give you the costume reveal. It's been very talked about online, but there has been no official footage of this costume reveal, and she was wearing it under the reveal costume, so I was like, oh, they're so gonna do it, and then they didn't. Controversial.
So I have a little flirt with the footman as he takes my fur. As you were.
After them was Sister Act. Now, even the day before, everyone had been very excited about Sister Act performing. I think there was a lot of hope they were going to perform Raise Your Voice. However, they had been in Tech in Manchester literally the day before this, so only Lizzie B had been sent down to give you The Life I Never Led, which is kind of what I had anticipated. Literally, I said that was going to happen. You can ask Erin if you don't believe me. But she did a great job. It's impossible not to love Lizzie B. Not only is she ridiculously talented, but she's also just the loveliest person with the greatest personality. I really loved her performance of this, and I'm really excited to see her and the rest of the cast in the show.
Well, how can I go on ignoring the waste of it? After all of the years that I've clung to my fears, won't you help me let go?
Then you had Magic Mike Live, again, literally a carbon copy of their performance the previous day. I still watched it. You know, I'm not dead. They were followed by Unfortunate, which was like day and night from their previous performance. This one was so much better. Not only did they have their costumes now, but they did the songs I'd wanted them to do the previous day. They did a song called We Didn't Make It to Disney, and while they have cut some of the more borderline risky lyrics in terms of existing in a world where Disney can hear you, it's still a really fun song, and I think had the sound design been even better, the audience would have really engaged with that all the more and heard how funny and crazy this show is.
We could not meet a guideline, say will not let us through.
Maybe I should not disclose the fact that I'm a Jew.
Also, Unfortunate, the song itself, is a bop, and they should always perform that at their live promo events because it's just an earworm that is really going to get people hooked. Oh, that wasn't even a deliberate pun. Get it? Get it? Hooked. 'Cause fish. I'm a genius. Then we had Luke Bayer performing Diva Live from Hell. This is a show that's going to be opening at the Turbine Theatre. Hasn't yet, but seems very well rehearsed because Luke Bayer gave an amazing performance, really sold this show. It seems to be this one-man, campy, all about Eve-esque cabaret delivered from hell, which weirdly makes sense as a concept without much explanation. I thought it was fun, I thought it was campy, I thought Luke was really great in this role. I'm really excited to go and see him in the show. This was the most suited I felt he was to any material I'd ever seen him get to perform.
I was walking through the high school halls with Ethel Merman Flair. Then I saw the ladies gasp at my perfectly coiffed hair. Down here, hair won't keep its shape, and I guess that's kind of fair, don't you?
Then we had Welsh of the West End. This is a supergroup of Welsh musical theatre performers which formed during lockdown and have gone on to perform on Britain's Got Talent. They were really fantastic. Was lovely getting to hear them sing. Very sensible choice of them to do Seasons of Love because everyone who is staging in that audience, which was all of us, is going to want to sing along with Seasons of Love. Like that just became a whole crowd sing-along moment. After them was The Great Gatsby. Very interesting to see an immersive show representing themselves on a West End live stage. And they do this fun little routine where they teach you how to Charleston in the audience, which again was bold considering how tightly packed we were in Trafalgar Square. But somehow we managed it, and they gave away free tickets to the show or a free invitation to Mr. Gatsby's party to the most exuberant and enthusiastic Charlestoner in Trafalgar Square. And I think that was a sensible choice. It gave you just enough of a flavour of the show and its vibe that it will make audiences intrigued enough to buy a ticket and go find out more about it. After After them was a slot credited to the Turbine Theatre, and this was Rob Madge performing from My Sons Are Queer But What Can You Do, that played at the Turbine Theatre last year and is heading to the Edinburgh Fringe ahead of a tour, as well as Luke Bear performing a song from Millennials, which is actually going to be at the Other Palace Studio rather than the Turbine Theatre. This slot may as well have been called Paul Taylor Mills and shows he is currently involved with. I loved Rob's song. I love that they chose to feature a community of queer performers around them. Just the most incredible, beautiful people on stage singing this incredible, positive, uplifting message. Ahead of Pride Weekend, that was a really nice thing to feature on West End Live. And I hope that spoke to a lot of young people in the audience and watching from home.
And even for those that decide not to stay, we will be loved anyway.
The song from Millennials, I didn't like as much as the song that Jodie had done from Millennials last year. I remember the feeling. But I feel like it will grow on me. I feel like it's one of those that has more of a pop vibe, that's not as obvious a contemporary MT sound that I have to listen to more than once just because it's not my usual thing. I will also say Luke Bayer needed to iron his shirt. Very bold of me to make that criticism as well because I iron nothing. Next we had Footloose. We had Luke Friend performing Mama Says, who is not currently with the show, nor do I believe he is due to go in the show unless I've missed that casting announcement. I was pretty sure it was Jake Quickendon and Marcus Collins currently sharing the role of Willard in the show. He did a great job of singing that and accompanying himself on guitar.
And Mama says it doesn't matter if you're a king or you're a clown. Once you travel up a mountain, you can't back down.
It's a fun number, but another weird choice from Footloose. I get that they're currently on tour somewhere in the country, so not the easiest thing for them to bring their whole cast over, but if you're going to have Footloose on the stage at West End Live, do Footloose, do the song Footloose. Like, that so would have just lifted us at that point in the afternoon after we'd been standing all day. If you came out with like, I'm working so hard, I'd have jumped up and down if they'd done that number, and it took a lot to make me jump up and down after that many hours. They also did Holding Out for a Hero, but what I love about Holding Out for a Hero in that version of the show is that you have the trio of girls singing the backing harmonies and all doing the choreo together. So as great as the performance was, I would have loved to have seen more of the cast there. After then we went to another touring show, We Will Rock You. They, like the Jersey Boys the day before them, gave you all of the numbers from the show, some of which made more sense than others. Eventually they got to the more obvious crowd-pleasing, really popular Queen numbers, but on the way to that, they had Jenny O'Leary doing Fat Bottomed Girls. Like, Killer Queen does some great numbers in the show, and you're going to get her to do Fat Bottomed Girls. That seemed like a choice to me. Also, I Want It All, one of my favourites, but not everybody's. But the vocals, oh my gosh, the vocals. Probably the best vocals of the weekend for me came from We Will Rock You. Like, there is a reason these performers have been cast in this tour. I have my opinions about the tour in general. It's mostly to do with the budget and the set design and not my favourite things in the world, but you cannot fault the vocal prowess of these performers. They are literally insane, and that's the kind of show that will play so well on a West End Live stage, performing to a crowd like that, with that kind of rocky vibe. It was very Live Aid with everyone doing this. Even though very few of the people in that Trafalgar Square audience had been alive during Live Aid. They have the Bohemian Rhapsody movie to thank for even knowing what that was. Finally, we finished with the London Musical Theatre Orchestra coming on stage under the helm of the marvellous Freddie Tapner, which is a big deal to have an orchestra on stage for West End Live. Like, they've done the Pride in London events before, but to my knowledge, they have never done West End Live, so really nice to have them there. And they were there as part of featuring 3 upcoming concerts: Chess, Kinky Boots and Treason, which will all be in concert this year at the Theatre Royal Drury Lane. I will say it was a weird choice to have them take so long to set up on the West End Live stage and be like, look, an orchestra, for them to then play Chess, which is Cynthia's All Hell.
It's Iceland, or the Philippines, or Hastings, or West End Live!
Also, Tim Howard, who has been singing One Night in Bangkok for years, forgot about half of the lyrics to that song. And I am going to mention it on here because, yes, it's intimidating to do West End Live, but I know the lyrics to One Night in Bangkok and you should as well. Emma Hatton and Laura Tebbett did a lovely job of singing I Know Him So Well. Neither of them going to be in the concert. That's actually going to be Samantha Barks and Frances Maylor McCann, but both of them were very busy doing matinees at that exact moment in time, so it explains why they couldn't be there. Next, we had Courtney Bowman giving you her Lauren from Kinky Boots with The History of Wrong Guys, another great choice because everyone's going to want to sing along. Props to Courtney for coming out and doing that, having done Legally Blonde and 2 Legally Blonde shows the day before. Like, she is busy. Hopefully by the Kinky Boots concert, she will have learned the song a little bit better. But she did a great job of selling the comedy. Matt Willis then did his number from Kinky Boots, and having seen him in the Waitress tour, I've I've been skeptical about this casting ever since it emerged. Like, there are so many people who could sing the role of Charlie in Kinky Boots so well. I did not understand, having seen Matt as Dr. Pomatter, how he was going to sing Charlie. And I really like him doing musical theatre performances for his acting. I think he's a really great character actor. I loved him in Little Shop, but vocally I have heard him struggle consistently. He did Step 1. It was in a discernibly lower key than I have ever heard it before, and he still struggled with the high notes at the end. This is me being exceptionally honest, but like, if you've made it this many minutes into my video, then you deserve that from me. Finally, we had Treason. Carrie Hope Fletcher fans, this is the time to wake up and listen. I really loved this. I haven't listened to any Treason so far, but this was the reason to bring an orchestra to the West End live stage. These numbers sounded fantastic, the performances were so good, and Carrie and Mike Hamway giving us that duet I thought was just stirring, just wonderful. This convinced me that this is a show I need to sit up and pay attention to. And another really lovely song for Carrie's voice. I love hearing something that sits really comfortably in her voice without having to make her try and belt at the top of her range all of the time, like Heather's did, like Cinderella did. After the whole anxiety-inducing Cinderella performance that she had last year, it was really nice to see her succeed and be so rooted for by all of her fans in Trafalgar Square. So, those were my thoughts on all of the shows that performed at West End Live. You can hear how hoarse my throat is now for having talked for an hour about all of those. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please make sure to subscribe to my Stagey YouTube channel for plenty more content coming very soon about all of your favorite shows. Also, if you want to support me as a Stagey content creator, head over to patreon.com/MickeyJoeTheatre, where you can gain access to some exclusive photo and video content. I hope that everyone is staying safe and that you have a stagey day.
For 10 more seconds, I'm Mickey Joe Theatre. Oh my god, hey, thanks for watching, have a stagey day. Subscribe!